So, um, so can you introduce yourself and tell me a little about yourself?
Okay, my name's Alice Brierly. I am a student at Towson University. I'm studying anthropology. Um, and I've been here for a year and a month or so. Not even a year and a month. I've been here for 2 semesters and I'm doing the summer semester. Um, and I'm married. I live in Baltimore City. Um, have a dog and a cat. I'm a very uninteresting person for the most part. I spend most of my time reading and writing, which to me is exciting, but to most people is kind of boring. and I go to the park with my dog and I run without my dog, because my dog doesn't like running unless she's chasing a ball.
That's great. I'm very interested in reading too.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't appreciate that
Yeah.
often. But so you said you're an anthropology major in Towson University. How is that? How's that going?
It's going well.
So tell me a little about it.
Um,
What's your experience in the university?
it's my experience has been good. Um, I wasn't really sure what I was getting myself into when I started here. I just knew that I had always wanted to study anthropology, but I didn't in undergraduate. The first time around, I have a English degree from my previous academic life, and I didn't do anthropology because I thought that the English degree would be more useful, that it would serve me better in my career, whatever that was going to be with an English degree. I kind of played with the idea of going to graduate school for English, but got a little bit too easily dissuaded because of, I kept hearing, oh, it's so hard to get a job as an English professor. Um, but now it's kind of my sense of it is whatever. I'll get a job. I'll figure out a way to make this work, because in the end, if you're not doing what you love, you're wasting your time.
Yeah. So do you have any specific fields that you want to work in?
I really like urban anthropology. I'm really interested in the city and the processes of the city. I think it really draws my attention. Most things that involve any sort of political economy type thing really gets me going. I'm going to try my first visual project this summer and see how that goes. But this is the person who cannot take a photograph to save her life. We'll see what happens. I don't know
I
how
hope
it's
that
going to go.
goes well. So, you said that you're very interested in urban anthropology, and you're living in Baltimore. So, how does that connect? How do you feel about Baltimore?
How do I feel about Baltimore?
Yeah, I mean, as a place that you're living in, and it's definitely an urban area that a lot of people did studies on. So, what do you think about it?
Um, well, if I take a strictly non-anthropological perspective to it, I would say Baltimore. Um, Baltimore is it's a city where a lot happens, but only for certain people. And that may even still be an anthropological view, but I think Baltimore has its advantages and its disadvantages, but I think that you could still see a lot of how to say this the best way without being like a Baltimore basher, because I love living in the city. It's just I definitely see that there are ways in which certain people are definitely privileged over other people, and the systems that are and the institutions that are in place, definitely perpetuate that. And I guess that was like a very anthropological perspective, but once you go anthropology, you don't go back, I guess you could say. But it's also a really dynamic city. There's always something happening, and there's a lot of different opportunities for engagement, with your local community, like your immediate community, as well as the city as a whole. And I grew up in the South where, in spite of all the protests that the South has changed, it's still an extremely segregated enclave type environment, especially like Little Rock, Arkansas is where I grew up from age 8 and through finishing college, and they actually built a highway to divide the city. So there's like one side of the highway, which is kind of the white side of the highway, and then there's the other side that is the brown side of the highway, and that's the way it's divided. That's the way people are steered. That's I think that they really make an effort, a covert effort to maintain that dichotomy and that division. In Baltimore, it's not like that. Like there's not good side of town, bad side of town, any of that sort of very stereotypical Southern approach. But there are certain certain barriers that aren't as obvious, that are in place, that kind of segregate or push away different geographical areas. But it's not just one side versus the other. It's different little pieces around the town. It's more of a patchwork than it is just a half and half. So that's an interesting aspect of Baltimore that you see it play all the time, though.
Yeah. So do you think to this diversity that, as you compared with where you come from, can you think of any specific reasons? Not a specific, but do you have any reasons in mind of why that could be?
Well, I think, in Little Rock, it's diverse. It's extremely diverse. It's just there's just this. I wouldn't say it's voluntary. I wouldn't say that the segregation is voluntary. I would say that there's been more of an attempt made on the part of the more. I would say that, for all appearances, institutions and structures are put in place that create the division. So there are practices that are in place to prevent people from making crossover moves, and it doesn't just go. The white side of town doesn't let anybody else in. I know when I lived there, my friends and I tried to rent a house on the other side of the highway, the side of the highway that was considered not white, and we weren't allowed to. They refused to. On 3-4 different occasions, they were just, we won't accept your application, sorry. And so it's kind of almost a self-selecting process, but it's not a good process. It doesn't do anything to help create a better place for anybody to live, in spite of what some people may try and justify it as. Here in Baltimore, the diversity is just the natural result of, same as in Little Rock, it's the natural result of who moved to that place and who lives in that place. I don't think that there's the tradition here of segregation. It's not quite as embedded in the historical consciousness of this city the way it is in Little Rock. I mean, Little Rock is kind of notorious after the whole Little Rock 9 issue in Central High, and the problems just with breaking down the strict and really repressive segregation of public schools in Baltimore or in Little Rock. It was a horrible chapter in that history, but it still exists in everybody's conscious. I think a book about it was just published about 5 or 6 years ago by a professor at University of Arkansas, and you would think 40 years after an event like the Little Rock Nine, that it would kind of be out of the critical consciousness of the people in the city, but it's not. So there's still like that sense of separation, and it's still being explored, I think.
That's very interesting. You just got me so interested in the city you come from that I have to go read about it.
You've never heard of the story of Little Rock Nine?
No, I'm going to go read about it.
Yeah, you should. You should. It's a fascinating story.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And have a great day.